Have you ever met someone who feels powerful only when they can make you react? They don't want peace, they want control. They pay attention to everything that stirs you, your fears, your soft spots, your insecurities. They remember the things that hurt you once and keep them ready like weapons. They test you again and again, not because they care about your feelings, but because seeing you lose control gives them a strange kind of satisfaction. They insult you, not to share truth, but to see if they can make you angry. They twist your words, not to understand you, but to watch you stumble trying to explain. They bring up the past, not to heal it, but to reopen the wound. They feed off your reaction like it's energy. Every time you yell, defend yourself, or cry, they feel strong, as if they can still pull your strings. That's why silence confuses them. It takes away their favorite weapon, your reaction. When you stay calm, they lose their script. When you don't rise to the bait, they don't know what to do. Their power disappears because it only existed through your response. Silence flips the game. It says, "You don't get to control my emotions anymore." It says, "You don't get to decide how I feel." It says, "I'm not playing your game." That's when they start to crumble, not because you punish them, but because they've lost access to the one thing they could use against you, your peace. Silence doesn't mean you're weak or scared. It means you're wise enough to protect your energy. It means you're strong enough to understand that not every battle needs to be fought. It means you've learned that some people don't deserve your voice. When you choose silence, you stop handing your power away. You stop giving attention to what drains you. You stop living in reaction to people who don't deserve a reaction at all. And that's when true control begins: quiet, calm, unshakable control. So, the next time someone tries to get under your skin, remember this: you don't owe them a word. You don't owe them your anger. You don't owe them your energy. Let them talk. Let them twist. Let them try. Because the moment you stop reacting, you win. Not the fight they wanted, but the war they never understood. Anda says solidum bis. 1. Silence exposes their weakness. When you stop reacting, something powerful begins to shift quietly, but completely. You take away the one thing that feeds their sense of power, your attention. People who love control don't actually want peace. Peace scares them, because peace means equality. They want to be above you, to feel like they can move you with a single word. Every argument, every explanation, every emotional reaction gives them fuel. They feed on your confusion, your need to be understood, your anger. Your reaction keeps them alive. Your silence, though it cuts off their air. At first, they'll pretend nothing has changed. They'll act calm. They'll post pictures, make jokes, maybe even look happier than ever. But underneath that surface, they're uneasy. They can feel the silence pressing on them. They'll keep checking their phone, refreshing your page, waiting for your name to appear. They'll read old messages, trying to find the moment when they lost their grip on you. They'll ask themselves what they said wrong, why you stopped reacting, why your energy feels so far away. That's when the doubt creeps in. The person who once made you question yourself begins to question themselves. The manipulator becomes the one who overthinks. The one who used your emotions as a weapon now feels powerless. They start to sense that their control was never real. It only existed because you allowed it. Silence becomes the mirror they can't look away from. In that mirror, they see their own weakness, their insecurity, their emptiness. They realize that without your reaction, there's nothing left for them to manipulate. They can't twist your words anymore. They can't use your anger as proof of their importance. They can't rewrite the story, because you've stopped giving them lines to use. Your calmness exposes what their chaos tried to hide. Your distance shows the truth they tried to cover. And that's why silence breaks people. It removes their distractions. It forces them to sit with themselves, to face what they've done, to see who they really are when there's no one left to blame. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's what silence truly is. It's not running away, it's reclaiming your control. It's the moment you stop giving your mind to those who never earned it. It's the quiet decision to stop letting others decide your emotions. It's the sound of strength returning. Silence isn't avoidance, it's mastery. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the moment you stop dancing to their tune and start hearing your own rhythm again. And in that rhythm, your peace finally comes home. 2. Silence protects your peace. Every time you argue, you hand someone invisible control over your peace. You let them decide when you feel calm, when you get angry, and when you lose balance. You give them access to your emotions, and little by little, they start to own your inner world. That's how chaos finds its way in, not because of what they say, but because of how you react. Some people aren't looking for understanding, they're looking for chaos. They don't come to heal, they come to test. They don't want a solution, they want a scene. They're not trying to talk, they're trying to trigger. They want to see if they can still make you raise your voice, still make you defend yourself, still make you forget your worth. But when you choose silence, the whole energy changes. You close the door they used to enter your peace. You take back control without a single word. You stop feeding their drama, and suddenly they have nothing left to play with. You win not by being louder, but by being still. Silence becomes your quiet declaration. I know what you're doing, and I won't participate. My peace is too expensive to waste on this. You don't get to decide how I feel anymore. That's a kind of power most people never learn. The power to stay calm in a world that wants you reactive, to keep your heart still while others try to pull you into their noise. Peace doesn't come from controlling others. Peace comes from controlling yourself. It's found in release, in letting go of what's outside your control, in choosing not to fight every battle that tries to find you. When you realize that your reaction keeps the fire burning, you'll see that your silence is the water that puts it out. You don't owe anyone explanations. You don't have to prove your side to people who twist your words. When you stop explaining yourself to those who only listen to argue, you save your time, your rest, and your sanity. You stop carrying the weight of conversations that never go anywhere. You stop losing sleep, replaying moments in your head. You stop giving energy to people who enjoy seeing you drained. And that's when peace returns quietly, fully, completely. You no longer wait for apologies that will never come. You no longer chase closure that doesn't exist. You no longer defend yourself in stories where the truth doesn't matter. You simply walk away in silence. Epictetus said, "No one can harm you unless you allow them." That's the essence of silence. It's the invisible wall that keeps harm out. It's the boundary that no one can cross unless you open the gate. It's your protection from manipulation, guilt, and emotional noise. It's the voice of your higher self saying, "I will not trade my peace for anyone's chaos." When you stay silent, you protect what's sacred, your inner calm. Because peace isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest form. It's proof that you've grown, that you understand your worth, that you've learned to value your quiet more than their noise. Your silence doesn't mean you lost. It means you finally understood what's worth keeping, and what's better left unanswered. 3. Silence makes them see your value. People who think you'll always reply start to believe that you always will. They grow used to your availability, the quick replies, the warm energy, the effort you give without being asked. Your presence becomes a habit to them, something expected, something constant. They stop noticing the care behind your words. They stop appreciating the time you give. They start assuming that no matter how they act, you'll still be there. That's how people start to take kindness for weakness. They start to believe your patience is endless, that your forgiveness is guaranteed, that your heart will always stay open, no matter how carelessly they handle it. And the truth is, as long as you keep showing up, they never have to wonder what losing you would feel like. They never have to face the value of your presence because they've never felt your absence. But then, one day, you stop explaining. You stop reaching out first. You stop showing up where you're not respected. And you go quiet. At first, they don't notice. They assume it's temporary, that you'll text soon, that you'll forgive again, that you'll return to the same rhythm. They might even laugh about it. Tell themselves, you're just busy, because denial is easier than admitting they might have lost you. But then the silence stretches. A few days become a week becomes 2. And that's when they feel it, the emptiness, the missing messages, the missing warmth, the missing energy they used to take for granted. They scroll through old conversations, trying to find where it went wrong. They replay moments in their head, trying to understand why your tone changed, why your replies stopped, why your energy feels like a door that quietly closed. And in that moment, they realize something. You didn't walk away in anger. You walked away in silence. You didn't cut them off to punish them. You simply decided to protect your peace. You chose calm over chaos. You chose distance over disrespect. When you withdraw your energy, you teach people what it was worth. Not by shouting, not by blaming, but by disappearing. Your silence becomes a mirror reflecting everything they ignored. Your loyalty, your patience, your care, your consistency. Now they finally see how much those things mattered. Silence carries a message no words can express. It says, I will no longer chase what doesn't value me. It says, I no longer need to prove my worth. It says, if you didn't see my value when I was there, you'll feel it in my absence. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that true value doesn't shout. It stands quietly in its truth. When something rare becomes scarce, its worth becomes undeniable. And when you remove your presence from those who took it for granted, they finally understand what they lost. That's why silence hurts more than anger. Because anger still shows care. Silence shows closure. It doesn't come from ego. It comes from understanding. It's not revenge. It's realization. You don't have to raise your voice to prove your value. You don't have to explain why you left. Your absence says everything your words never could. Let them feel the distance. Let them wonder where your warmth went. Because that calm, that quiet, that peace, that's the sound of your worth finally being seen. You don't need to prove your value. Your silence already did. 4. Silence builds your emotional strength. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can shout when things don't go their way. Anyone can explode when life presses the wrong buttons. That's easy. That's what most people do. But true power looks different. It's quiet. It's steady. It's the strength to stay calm while everyone else is losing control. It's the ability to feel anger, disappointment, or pain, and still choose peace. It takes discipline to stand in the middle of chaos and not become part of it. To hear the insults, the accusations, the noise, and still remain centered. That's emotional strength. It's not loud or dramatic. It's calm, unshakable presence. Every time you choose silence instead of reaction, you train your mind to obey you. You prove to yourself that your emotions don't control you, you control them. You remind your heart that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every word deserves an answer. At first, it's hard. You'll feel the urge to reply, to defend, to prove your point. Your pride will whisper, say something, but if you stay still, if you breathe through that moment, you win a quiet victory. Each time you resist, you grow stronger. Each time you hold your calm, you level up emotionally. You begin to notice how peaceful strength feels compared to reactive chaos. Your anger fades faster. Your thoughts become clearer. Your energy becomes lighter. You start to see the truth in things, not through emotion, but through awareness. You stop reacting to every noise, because you realize not every noise deserves your attention. That's what Stoicism really is. It's not about hiding your feelings. It's about mastering them. It's about knowing when to act and when to stay still. When everyone else reacts, you pause. When they shout, you breathe. When they try to drag you down, you stand like a mountain. Still, steady, untouchable. That's not weakness. That's the highest form of strength power that no one can take from you. Because emotional control isn't about feeling less. It's about using your feelings wisely. It's knowing when to let silence speak louder than words. It's understanding that your peace is your greatest weapon, and your silence is your most disciplined act of power. Each time you choose silence, you sharpen your emotional sword. You turn restraint into armor. You turn patience into strength. You become what the Stoics called a master of the self. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what silence teaches you. It's not about escaping conflict. It's about mastering yourself within it. It's not avoidance. It's evolution. So when the world pushes your buttons, stay still. When chaos calls your name, answer with calm. When anger tries to own you, respond with silence. Because the moment you stay composed, you rise above the noise. You stop being controlled by the world and start ruling yourself. Woo. Silence forces accountability. When you stop arguing, something powerful happens, the noise disappears, and the truth finally has room to speak. Because arguments, no matter how logical or justified, often become walls that block honesty. They give people something to fight instead of something to face. They use words like weapons, twisting them, turning them, reshaping them, all to avoid the simple fact that they were wrong. That's the trick of avoidance. If they can keep you defending yourself, they never have to defend their actions. If they can make you loud, they can make themselves the victim. If they can keep you reacting, they never have to reflect. But when you go quiet, everything changes. You take away the noise that protects them. You stop being the villain they use to justify their behavior. You stop giving them your energy, the very energy that distracted them from their own guilt. Now there's nothing left for them to fight but the truth itself. And that silence is deafening. It's louder than anger. It's heavier than any argument. Because in that quiet, they start to hear what they've been running from their own conscience. At first, they'll resist it. They'll rewrite the story in their head. They'll say, "You're cold," or "You've changed," or "You're being dramatic," because it's easier to call you heartless than to admit they were careless. It's easier to point at your distance than to face their own mistakes. But late at night, when the world goes still, the silence you left behind starts talking to them. They replay the conversations. They remember what they said. They hear their own tone echo back at them. And for the first time, they can't talk their way out of it. No arguments, no excuses, just silence and the weight of their own actions. That's why silence is so powerful. It doesn't shout. It doesn't accuse. It simply reveals. When you stop fighting, the truth becomes clear, because your reaction was the smoke that hid the fire. Without it, the flames of their guilt burn in plain sight. They can no longer twist the story the silence has already told it. Seneca once wrote, "Time discovers truth," and silence gives time the space to do that. When you stop chasing closure, time shows them the cost of their choices. When you stop explaining yourself, guilt starts explaining everything for you. When you stop reacting, their behavior becomes their confession. Your silence becomes their mirror. And it's in that mirror that they see what they've done, who they've become, and what they've lost. You don't have to punish them. You don't have to prove anything. Your silence already does it quietly, cleanly, completely. Because in silence, people finally meet themselves. And most can't stand the reflection. So don't raise your voice. Raise your boundaries. Don't beg for honesty. Let silence uncover it. The one who talks less is often the one who's truly heard. And the one who walks away in calm silence leaves a truth behind that no amount of denial can erase. Let silence do what words never could. Let it hold the mirror. Let it expose the truth. And let it free you once and for all from the need to explain again. 6. Silence reveals who truly cares. Watch what happens when you stop chasing, calling, or explaining yourself. When you stop overthinking every message. When you stop trying to convince people of your good heart. When you stop proving your loyalty to those who never proved theirs. At first, the silence feels uncomfortable. You'll sit with your thoughts and wonder, do they notice my absence? Do they miss me? Or did they move on without a thought? You'll check your phone more than you want to admit. You'll replay old conversations in your mind, trying to find the moment when things started to fade. But over time, you begin to understand. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a filter. It separates what's real from what only pretended to be. The right people, the ones who care without conditions, will feel your quiet. They'll notice your distance, not because they've lost control, but because they miss your presence. They'll reach out with gentle words, asking if you're okay, offering calm instead of pressure. They'll respect your space, yet still remind you that you matter. They'll meet your silence with patience, not panic. The wrong people, though, will do the opposite. They'll get angry, blame you for pulling away, accuse you of changing, call you cold or difficult. They'll try to make you feel guilty for protecting your peace, because your silence shows them something they don't want to see, that they no longer have access to your heart, that the control they once had has vanished. And then there are the ones who simply vanish too, the ones who were only around for what you gave your time, your energy, your comfort. When that's gone, they disappear without a word. Don't be sad when that happens. Your silence didn't lose them, it exposed them. Because when you stop feeding people your energy for free, the ones who were only there to take will quietly walk away. That's the hidden beauty of silence, its purification. It burns away what's fake like fire clearing an old forest, so that something honest and new can grow. It leaves behind only the people who are real. In the stillness, everything becomes clear. You begin to see who checks in when you stop checking up, who respects your distance without needing a reason, who stays loyal even when there's no benefit in doing so. That's the difference between love and attachment. Love understands. Attachment demand. That's how silence speaks. It tells the truth without a single word. It shows you who loved your presence and who only loved your attention. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Silence honors that wisdom. It becomes the line between peace and performance, between sincerity and show. It exposes motives that noise once hid. So if your silence ever feels lonely, remember this. You're not losing people. You're losing illusions. You're not pushing the right ones away. You're simply revealing who was genuine enough to stay. And when the noise is gone, what remains isn't emptiness. It's clarity. It's peace. It's truth standing quietly beside you, waiting to be noticed. 7. Silence is your rebirth. Silence isn't empty. It only feels that way to people who are afraid to be alone with themselves. But for those who have begun to wake up the strong, the self-aware silence is the beginning of something new. It's where the noise fades and the soul starts to breathe again. There's a moment in silence when everything slows down. The thoughts stop racing, the emotions settle, and you realize you've been giving too much of yourself to things that were never giving back. You see how often you tried to fix, explain, or chase peace in places that only brought you pain. Silence is the moment when that stops. It's where your mind finally exhales after holding its breath for too long. In silence, you don't lose yourself, you meet yourself. You begin to hear the voice inside you, the one that was buried under opinions, pressure, and noise. You start to feel the emotions you've been running from, not to suffer through them, but to understand them. You start to see that the real battle was never out there, it was always within. That's what rebirth truly looks like. Not fireworks, not revenge, not a big announcement, but calm. A calm that no one else can touch. A calm that comes from knowing you don't need to prove yourself anymore. The world will tell you to be loud, to fight, to prove your value through attention. But that kind of power fades quickly. True power doesn't shout. True power moves quietly. It doesn't need recognition, it radiates from within. Silence isn't weakness. It's transformation. It's the cocoon before the butterfly, the darkness before the sunrise. It's the quiet space where you're rebuilding yourself, stronger, wiser, and lighter than before. When you stop reacting to everything, healing begins. When you stop explaining your worth, growth begins. When you stop chasing noise, wisdom finally speaks. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They believed that peace isn't something you go out and find, it's something you return to. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will forever flow if you will forever dig." Silence is the digging. It's how you uncover your own strength after the world has tried to bury it. It's how you remember who you were before life made you doubt yourself. In silence, your mind clears, your heart steadies, your spirit begins to rise. You realize that not every ending is a tragedy. Some endings are the universe's way of setting you free. The version of you that needed validation, that begged for understanding, that chased chaos, that version quietly dies. And in its place stands someone new, calm, centered, unbothered. Someone who doesn't need to shout to be powerful. Someone who doesn't need to explain to be understood. Someone who finally understands that peace isn't the absence of noise, it's the mastery of it. So when people say you've changed, smile. They're right. You stopped playing the role they assigned to you. You stopped running after people who never turned around. You stopped trying to be seen and started to see yourself. This is your rebirth. A quiet one, a strong one, a sacred one. Let your peace speak louder than your pain. Let your calm be your message, because silence isn't the end of your voice. It's the beginning of your power. When you finally stop reacting, something inside you shifts. It's subtle at first, like a quiet click in the back of your mind, but it changes everything. You stop letting other people steer your emotions. You stop giving strangers and manipulators the right to decide how you feel. You stop letting their chaos spill into your calm. For the first time in a long time, you hold the keys to your own mind. You stop opening the door every time someone knocks with drama. You stop giving your peace away to people who only come to disturb it. And in that silence, that beautiful, grounded silence, you finally feel it. Freedom. The ones who used to feed on your reactions won't know what to do. They'll try everything, the guilt, the blame, the small provocations. They'll try to get a rise out of you because your reaction was their proof of power. But this time, they'll find nothing. No argument, no emotion to feed on, just calm. And that calm will shake them more than your words ever did. They'll feel it, the shift. They'll sense that something has changed. The control they once had has dissolved, and it breaks them, not because you punished them, but because they realize they can no longer reach you. You've become the one thing they can't manipulate. Calm, clear, and untouchable. You stop explaining yourself to those who twist your words. You stop defending your truth to people committed to misunderstanding it. You stop trying to be understood by minds that are not ready to listen. You simply exist quietly, peacefully, fully. Silence is not the absence of your voice. It's the presence of your power. It's the moment you realize you don't need to prove, fix, or chase anything. It's control in its purest form. It's self-respect turned into energy. You owe no one your words. You owe no one your reaction. You owe no one access to the inner peace you fought to build. Your silence becomes your armor, protecting you from their noise. Your silence becomes your strength, anchoring you when others lose control. Your silence becomes your peace, freeing you from the chains of reaction. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And silence is that bravery. It's the courage to walk away without explaining. It's the strength to let people misunderstand you and stay calm anyway. It's the wisdom to stop fixing what refuses to change. It's the freedom of knowing you control yourself, even if you can't control the world. When you choose silence, you stop being a player in their game. You rise above it. You stand in your truth without needing to speak it. You stop reacting and start ruling yourself. So if this message touches something inside you, if you've felt the sting of chaos and finally tasted peace, make this your truth right now. My silence is my power. I protect my peace. Write it, say it, live it, because the moment you do, you step into a higher version of yourself, the one that no longer begs, argues, or explains, the one that no longer dances for validation, the one that simply observes, understands, and remains unshaken. You don't have to announce your growth. You don't have to prove you're calm. Just embody it. Let your energy speak for you. Let your silence show what words never could, that you are no longer affected by the noise that once owned you. So, from now on, don't explain your calm. Don't defend your distance. Don't justify your peace. Just stay silent. Stay steady. Stay free. Because when you do, they'll realize what they lost, and you'll finally see what you've gained. Stay silent and watch them break.